So this is our little weekly mastermind. My name is Alan Rich. I'm the managing broker here. Today with me, I've got Mark Brown. And so we're going to be talking all about all things open houses, how to prepare for an open house, when you should do an open house, and basically, like what are the benefits to you, to your clients, and how to be successful with it and how to grow your business. So one of the first things I want to kind of start talking about as far as open houses goes is the fact that right now open houses is a really nice opportunity, and it's probably an opportunity for the wrong reasons. If I'm being 100% correct here, the reason that open houses are a nice opportunity right now is we have several folks inside our industry that are not doing buyer brokerage agreements the right way. And the reason that this is an open house benefit is for agents who try and be the gatekeepers and utilize a buyer brokerage agreement in order to be able to show someone a property. Like if you want to see this house, sign this agreement. For the folks who are leading with the sign this agreement and I'll show you a house kind of thing, yes, they are staying compliant, but they're not building any kind of relationships. And we see that a lot of buyers, they want to have that relationship. It's important that they have that relationship. And for me, I never want to be the person standing in the door of a house being like, oh, you want to see this? Well, if you'll sign here on this dotted line, then I'll show you the house. I think that when you put that before relationships, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And so we do have to stay compliant. We do need to get buyer brokerage agreement signed. But the right way to get a buyer brokerage agreement signed is first you set an appointment, you go through and you do a buyer's presentation, you provide value, you explain, this is what I do. This is like these are all the services I provide. These are the fees I charge. This is who gets paid. This is how I work for you. And then we move forward once we have our brokerage agreement signed. Because we have several folks in our ilk that are not necessarily doing it the right way, they're kind of acting like the gatekeepers. And so what we're seeing is here recently, a lot of folks, buyers in particular, are kind of focusing on targeting open houses to be able to go look at houses without having to sign a buyer brokerage agreement. For you as a realtor, as an agent, do you have to have a buyer brokerage signed prior to showing an open house? No, you don't, because you're doing it for the benefit of the seller. And so, no, you can show them that property without getting a buyer brokerage agreement signed. Now, if they want to go see more properties, if they want to go see additional properties, at that point, you do need to have a buyer brokerage agreement signed with them. But hopefully at that point, the whole idea about this is that this gives you an opportunity to get to know someone, to build a relationship with a potential client, to show your heart, to show how you care for them. Like this is the whole point in doing the open houses. And so right now we see where a ton of folks are kind of looking for open houses to go and attend. How's the activity level been in your open houses of late?
Well, it's up and down. Really, honestly, the people who have come or mostly there's nosy neighbors. And of course, you have people.
We love those because those are seller leads,
right? We have people that come. Now, I've had, of course, I'm like everybody else. I've had open houses where I did everything exactly like I normally do it. I, did all of my advertising, and it was the wrong time.
Yeah.
So I had two people there. I got a ton of work done because I always bring my laptop, but didn't have a lot of traffic. And then I had others that I didn't think the property was that exciting or that interesting, and they were just flowing in. And the two agents I had with me, they were like, "Oh my God, this is really great. I'm glad we did this one with you." So it's up and down, but the ones that you don't do are the ones where you miss the people.
Yeah.
So you may as well do them.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the specifics of open houses, because realistically, there's two different types of open houses that you really want to kind of be looking at. One is when your seller is engaged, and the other is when your seller is unengaged. So for engaged sellers, those open houses are much more like having friends over. See, like with an engaged seller, you're going to hold something much closer to a supper club kind of thing. So for us, with our engaged sellers, we're going to get a list of all their friends, and we're going to invite them over. Most of the time, our engaged open houses are those are going to be in the evenings. A lot of times we'll go and we may pick up 5 or 6 bottles of wine, a couple of 6 packs of beer, some sodas. We'll get a tray of cocktail shrimp, some nuggies from Chick-fil-A, that kind of stuff. And then we'll invite all their friends over to view the home, as well as to see if they happen to know anyone that's looking to buy a home. But really, this is your chance to build some amazing relationships. And the real benefit for this is this is a referral like hotspot, right? You get folks who are coming in. These, like immediately the folks who are coming, you invited them because they're the seller's friends. And so it's an instant referral. They're like, "Oh, do you do this for all your clients?" Well, yeah, I do. Are you thinking about selling too, or are you looking at buying? Right? Because it's just such an easy referral. Obviously, they trust me enough. I'm the one hosting the open house, but it's their house, and they're standing right there next to me the whole time. That is a really nice thing. Now, those are, I would say, a much smaller percentage of the open houses that we normally do. But sometimes you have sellers that they're very, very engaged and want you to do that. There are also times, like Mark and I were talking about earlier, where your sellers will want to do a broker open house. We're not really touching on those as much today, but you could do that. By and large, the vast majority of what we do overall in the industry are unengaged open houses, right? Those are ones where sellers you do your thing kind of thing. It's not necessarily a vacant house or anything like that, but the sellers just don't want to have anything to do with it. Matter of fact, we don't want the sellers there during the open house. Right. It's real easy. It's very has a great return on investment on there. Our sellers aren't present, which we don't want the sellers present, because nothing's creepier than trying to go through a house and the seller's just kind of following you around, stalking you.
And they share too much.
Yeah. The sellers always do share too much. All right, so let's talk about the first step of having a successful open house is in preparation, and I see this is probably one of the biggest faults where most real estate professionals fall short on an open house. For a lot of folks, they try and do an open house by just showing up the day of the open house and being like, man, not many people showed up. They just kind of walk in the door and just kind of wing it. And see, that's where you're missing the mark. Like if you're going to do an open house, spend the time to prepare. And so it's a really, really good event. And so the first thing is let's talk about, when do you hold it? So you don't want to do it during a Georgia game or doing the Falcons or those kind of things. So be smart about it. If there's any kind of thing going on out in the world, especially sports wise, avoid those times, right?
You can't compete with the Bulldogs in Georgia.
Yeah.
There's just no way to do it unless you want to be there by yourself. and again, that's not what the open house is for. So please don't try to compete with those events. Yeah. But there are some off times that you can do it. Like a lot of agents want to do them on Saturday and Sunday, but I've had people have really good success doing afternoon or early evening open houses during drive time. Mm-hmm. I haven't done one yet, but I'm jealous now that I've seen other people do it.
Well, I mean, depending on when and where, we've had some very successful open houses, like right as, like we had one where the house was located right next to a school. Mm-hmm. And so you could do open houses in the afternoons, right as folks got done or before the picking up the kids kind of thing. So there are times to do it, but generally speaking, we see where most of them are on the weekends. That's one that we see where it's kind of most effective on there. One other thing that we like to do in preparation for an open house is we like to put an open house coming soon sign. And so like open house Saturday from 10 to 3 or 10 to 2 or whatever it may be. But if you put a sign up, it lets folks know. Now, the reason that's beneficial is because that pre-open house sign, that's reaching to prospective sellers. For your open house, you're either going to be attracting hopefully buyers to come in and look at this property, but the folks inside that neighborhood, that is a great opportunity to reach out and engage with other potential sellers, because for like nosy neighbors, I adore nosy neighbors, because nosy neighbors at an open house, they're not there because they're just nosy. They, anytime a neighbor comes to an open house, they're bringing a cash register with them, because they're coming in. They're like, ooh, our kitchen's way better than that. Cha-ching, and then they're like, oh, this one has a finished basement. Ooh, they got to take money out of the cash register. They're like, oh, our deck is so much better. Cha-ching, and so they go through that whole thing. So anytime we have nosy neighbors, I love to engage with nosy neighbors, because, and we see this happen again and again in real estate. As soon as one house gets listed, we'll see where two or three more over the next couple of months will jump onto the market as well. And so don't think that an open house is only for buyers. And so one of the things that we like to do in preparation, put that pre-open house sign up. We normally like to put it out by Wednesday before that an open house is coming up, most of the time on the weekends, that kind of stuff. You want to put your open house into social media. You want to put it out there into Facebook. You make sure that you have pictures of the house. Make sure you put the dates and that kind of stuff. We put it out on Eventbrite, Eventzilla, Facebook events, anything and everything that we can. Now, one of the benefits of being able to market your open house is this is really good for your existing clients already. Because when you send that to the folks inside your database, when you send it onto social media, when you send these kind of things out, people know that you're in the market. People know that you're engaged and active in real estate right now. So it's really good. So yes, we want to market out into social media. Mm-hmm. We want to market out through Eventbrite, Eventzilla, but also market this to your sphere. You should send out, some text messages to any of the buyers that you have. They may not be interested at all, but the fact is you're sending that out to them to let them know. You want to send it, drop an email in there to everybody in your database, that kind of stuff. You can send it out through Facebook Messenger. You can put it in to Nextdoor is a great thing to do if it's something in there. Also, make sure that the open house is listed in the MLS, because if it's listed in the MLS, it will get picked up by Zillow as well as Georgia Open Houses and those kind of things. And so Realtor.com, all that will pick up that there's an open house. So make sure it gets put into the MLS. Also, this is important, especially if you're doing an open house and you're not the listing agent necessarily. Make sure that listing agent helps you out here a little bit and puts that into there, because they have to be the ones who do that. One other thing that we like to do as far as in preparation for an open house is we go in and we do a really thorough competitive market analysis on other active listings in the area. So you want to, generally speaking, what we try and do is we go through them and we pull up a list of other listings. And what you're looking for is properties that are, within $50,000 roughly of what the subject property is. And then when people come in, because the whole idea here is you want to be the subject matter expert. And it's really great when folks come in and they look in this house, and sometimes they'll come through and they'll be like, I really don't like the floor plan. I was kind of hoping this was an open floor plan. And you can go, well, I know of a house right down the street that has an open floor plan. Or, we were kind of looking for an updated kitchen. I know one where an updated kitchen is. Are you working with an agent right now? Because I'd love to be able to help you. See, the whole idea here is that this is a great chance to show off your market knowledge, your expertise, what's going on. So you have to make sure that you really know, especially what's within like a 5-mile radius that's somewhere nearby in the same price point. Now, I don't normally give those out at the open house. Do you?
Nope.
No.
I have them printed in color. I have them sitting on the counter, and when they start backing off, thinking, "Oh, I don't really like this house," or if it had this, I'd be interested in it. That's when we go to the stack and we say, "These are the ones that are nearby. These are the prices. This is what the advantages or disadvantages of the property based on what you're looking for." And one of the reasons that we always have 3 agents at the open house is if we have built enough rapport with the people and they'd like to go see it right now. Mm-hmm. I say, if I can get us an appointment to go see it right now, would you like to go and see it? And usually they say yes. Especially now, if they have an agent, I don't do that.
All right.
But if they don't have an agent, that's when I go in. So I'm like, if you'd like to see it, I can take you to look at it right now. They are so impressed that I would leave what I'm doing immediately to go and show them a house.
Mm-hmm.
I've got them hooked. They're in. I have never lost a person doing that. Now, does it kind of scare me sometimes? It just depends. I mean, who the people are and how they're acting. But you want to impress the people and you want to grab them now. Everything about real estate really is do it now, do it now, do it now. If you make them wait, they will go to the next person.
Mm-hmm.
And that event right there, that hooks them. Now they're my client. And I'll have the buyer brokerage agreement with me right then. I say, look, we need to sign this because that's what the rules are now. Even if it's only for a week.
Or for a property.
For one property.
Yeah.
You just have to hire me so that I can legally show you the property. And I'm fine with it. If we aren't a fit or if that house is not the one, then no harm, no foul. And you have access to my website where you can search for properties, even if you don't use me as your agent.
Look at that.
And guess what they do?
They use you very obviously. They don't have an agent, right?
Because they don't have an agent. But it works. It works very, very well. So
But it only works if you prepare, and so like the idea of having that knowledge, that market knowledge, and knowing all those other properties, it's important. One other thing that Mark brought up is that do an open house with more than just you. Like if you're the only agent in an open house and someone comes through and they want to see it more property, or you build that rapport with them and you can't leave that open house, what are you going to do? Right. So like partner with other agents and, in your office, that kind of stuff. Like this can just be good business across the board here. So one other thing about as far as on the preparation side of thing, and that is, are you going to use Open Home Pro? Are you going to use your KV Core Open House app? I like the KV Core Open House app. It's super easy to use. All you have to do is you just download it right from the App Store kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then you go in, you put in your login to your to your user account, and then you put in the address of the property and decide what you want, and now you've got this page. So I don't like it on the phone because I don't like to leave it out on the phone, but you can do it on a tablet, real easy kind of thing. But you need some way that you're collecting people's information when they come through. So one is you want to make sure that you're set up with some way so that you're collecting their information. Some folks still pull out the old fashioned piece of paper. I've found that clients don't really like that very much because then anyone else who comes into the open house has all their personal information on that piece of paper. So folks don't really like to do that. Only other thing I like to do is, or not only, but I like to have a gift card, some sort of giveaway. So when people come in, I'm like, hey, sign in. We have a $30 gas card that we're giving away at the end of this. It just gives me a reason to have you sign in as well, in addition. And then let's talk, last thing is about, are you going to do food? Are you going to do drinks? Are you going to do beverages, cookies, that kind of stuff? I am not a big fan of food at an unengaged open house. We will do, like, I do think having some bottles of water, maybe some bags of chips, and maybe a tray of cookies is kind of nice in case someone just has something like that. I mean, what's your take on food?
So the problem with food is you always end up having to clean it up. And if they have their kids with them and they crumble a cookie, and it just seems to be more work than it's worth.
Yeah.
Always have bottled water, hard candy. I tell you what I like about the cookies, though. I really like having the bake the chocolate chip cookies before the people get there for the aroma. And
I can see that.
When they start looking around for the cookies, then I'll give them one. But that's more for atmosphere than anything else. But food it's more work than it's worth most of the time. And then how many people do you prepare for?
Yeah.
You tell them, oh, there's going to be snacks, and then the 9th or 10th person comes and all the snacks are gone. Or you have plenty of snacks left over at the end of the day to go home and eat yourself. So I try to stay away mostly from food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing that we do in preparation for an open house is to make sure that you have 20 open house signs. And
Oh, did you hear that gasp?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So
20. Oh
so
my God.
like having enough open house signs is really really crucial. So many people are going to come to your open house because you put out a lot of signs. So we are huge fans of having open signs. But those are but like I just want to stop real quick and say, look, the magic is in the preparation here. You've got to spend the time to get the open house ready and doing all those kind of things, throwing it out on social media, notifying everybody, putting the signs, getting all these things organized. That makes your open house event, it takes it up to the next level. It really does. And it is so much more worth your time to invest in preparation than to just try and show up. So now let's jump ahead to the actual day of the open house. So now it's open house day. Show up early. Don't come, sliding in on two wheels, 3 minutes before the open house. You've got to get there and you got to make sure everything's set up. Look, we've gone to open houses and then you walk in the door and you've got to do dishes, or like the beds aren't made, that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just got to sometimes you got to hide the stuff, right? You've got to put things away. I'm not saying that this is all the time, but like we know clients are going to come in, they're going to run their hands across the countertops. They're going to do all that. So like light sales houses, I will open up all the blinds. I'll pull the curtains as far apart as I can. Are there pets that we have to deal with? Is the place clean, organized, set up? Like you can't like a dirty house is hard to sell. It always is. And I'm not saying that our job is to go and clean our clients' houses, but I have a really hard time holding an open house and being like, yeah, sorry, it's dirty. Like I can't do it that way. And
People can't see past the owner's crap.
Yeah.
And if it's not inviting, it's going to be a short visit for them.
Yeah.
So it's worth the time to take I get there an hour beforehand if it's an occupied home, to help them kind of move along to get out of the house and to help me get it ready. And then, like you said, we turn on all the lights, open all the blinds, anything that has to be cleaned or wiped down or straightened. But I also turn on the temperature to what is comfortable for a visitor, not what the owner likes. The people that like to live in an ice box, but it's 50 degrees out. So turn it up to 72, or I turn on all the ceiling fans. And people always ask me about that. Why are the ceiling fans on? To let you know they work, to keep the air circulating, and it's just a better look. For me, it is. But then, like you said, the bathrooms have to be clean. There can't be any dirty underwear there. There needs to be toilet paper. I don't want people using the bathroom at an open house, but if it's impossible, they're going to stay a very short period of time.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that there's supplies there. I mean, it needs to look livable, not like it's a desolate desert or anything. So it's big. I mean, that preparation is going to be a big thing. Now, the hour before that, though, is the time I spend making sure that I've done all my door knocking, or I put flyers on the neighbors' doors or on their mailboxes, reminding them, because did we talk about that?
No, we haven't. Oh. Let's go ahead.
Okay. So the first hour of my open house is exclusively for the neighbors. And I tell them when I do my door knocking the day before, or when I've reached out to them the day before, you get a private showing. All the neighbors get a private showing, because this is where you get to preview the house that your new neighbors are going to live in, right? So they love that they get invited first. And it's like, it's like being in the skybox at the Falcons game. But it's just to make them feel good about, hey, I want you guys to come. Nobody else can see it except for you guys for the first hour, and then the rest of the people get to come.
Now, we always door knock the day of the event. Now, do you door knock the day before?
The day before.
Okay.
Well, I'm putting out signs, right?
Gotcha.
And when I put out all the signs, I always get people saying, "Hey, which one is it? What are you going? What's going on?" And anybody that I see try to catch their eye or that's passing me by, I wave them down, because if they're in the neighborhood, they probably live there, right? So I wave them down and say, "Hey, we're having an open house tomorrow morning. Do you live here?" And they say, yeah, I live here. Okay, well, listen, first hour is just for the neighbors. Okay, so you get to come in from 11 to 12 anytime. Yeah, you don't have to sign in or make an appointment or anything, but just so you know, it's just for the neighbors from 11 to 12 tomorrow, and then everybody else can come in after that. Man, let me tell you something. It's almost like they got an invitation to a birthday party. It really turns them on. And usually get about 5 or 6 neighbors. And again, the whole point of inviting them and having them have their own private time is maybe they have a relative, a child, or a parent that they want to live closer to them that they can tell about the property.
Okay. So now, just to clarify, like you put out the signs inside the neighborhood the day before, or do you put all the signs out the day before?
I try to put everything out that I can after 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Outside the neighborhood, it's going to be after 5.
Okay.
Now, the other thing about signs is if the home is in an HOA, you've got to find out what the HOA rules are first, because you will lose 7 signs at $10 a piece to the HOA, and they will not give them back to you. They throw them in the trash, and then they want to send the owner of the property a notice. Oh, you can't have this many signs out, and it's a $50 fine. So find out what the rules are for the neighborhood. Find out what the rules are for the city, because the city may say you're too close to the roadway. You can't have it in front of a school. You can't have it this close to a church. Those kinds of things. So make sure you know what the rules are for the signs. But I promise you, the 20 sign thing works. You want people to have trouble. You don't want them to have trouble finding the property. You want to make it so easy. I call it the Hansel and Gretel technique, right?
Yeah.
It's as soon as they go to the next street, oh, there's the next sign. Oh, the next sign. They're not going to have trouble finding the house. And it's every major intersection in every direction leading to the house. So that's why you need 20 signs. I know people are like, oh, 20 signs.
Yeah, 20 signs throws a lot of people off. But we first started off and we'd do 3. We had 3, and that was meh. It wasn't great. And then we went up and we did like 7 or 8, and more people came. And then we did 10, and more people came. And then we did 15, and then we did 20, and more people kept coming the more signs we put out. Now, we tried 30 one point, and we didn't get any better than we got at 20. So we just kept it kind of at 20, and 20 is kind of that number where, like you said, every intersection we go out, we want to hit all major intersections. I got to get out to major thoroughfares kind of thing. I want wherever the traffic's going. I mean, I'm not going on the interstate, but I haven't tried the interstate, but maybe I would. But but coming off the interstate wouldn't bother me a bit, kind of thing. And what I'm looking for is I'm just looking for a lot of traffic that's going to come to the open house. Now, some folks are like, well, that's kind of expensive, but this is an investment. If you're gonna do open houses as like building it into a regular part of your business here, then this is a very sensible investment to make. You, like Mark said, you will lose signs. People will run them over. People will throw them away. Sometimes they just disappear. I don't know. They pick up legs and just go. But this is an investment that you want to make in there. If there is one thing that's going to drive people to your open house, it's going to be signs. It just is. So I also really love to tie some balloons to them, those kind of things. Anything that helps people notice these signs are going to be a big plus for you on here, kind of thing.
I usually put 2 or 3 in the yard.
Yep.
And if you have that, I haven't bought one yet, but one of our agents has the flag that says open house. And it's very noticeable. It's like 6 feet tall. It's very noticeable. So you're trying to get attention. The other thing is, the more you do, and the more the neighbors see you do, the more excited they are about possibly letting you sell their home. Looks like Lanya has a question.
Yeah, quick question. Do you guys just use the directionals, or are you guys putting the full address on the sign?
Just the directionals.
If you have, so you probably only need the directionals if you put out enough signs. You think about it.
Yeah.
You don't need to put the address if there's no way for them to get lost getting to the property.
I also want to reuse these signs. If you write the address on there, we have done it where we kept the address, but then those they were in a neighborhood where we could leave the signs up, those kind of things, and it kind of points them there. But the problem is, if you write the address on it, that's the only place you're ever going to use that open house sign. on.
Guess what I found out? Uh, Dry erase does not come off of those signs.
No.
So, but we figured out that you can put in the arrow where it's white, you can put white tape there, right on that tape, and take it off and reuse the sign that way,
Okay.
if you need to, if you needed to.
Gotcha. All right. Now, the other thing that you want to make sure, so at this point, we showed up early. We've gone out, we put out our signs, set out your bottles of water, those kind of things, your balloons, your eye catchers, that kind of stuff. Set up your iPad or laptop with a way for folks can sign in, get your gift cards set out, that kind of stuff. Make sure you have like a pocket full of business cards always.
Mm-hmm.
And then, also, I do recommend, especially if you're doing an open house with another agent, like role play some common scripts with each other. It just kind of helps kind of lubricate everything, So, like, are you the listing agent for this house? What's going on here? Like how long has this house been here? All the different things that just different questions that you can throw at each other. It just kind of helps you kind of get set up and ready to go. Decide, and then how are you going to describe this home when somebody comes in? Because I've seen folks that like the whole idea in doing this is that you want to be able to build a relationship. And so what I hate seeing, and we were at an open house a week and a half ago, and went in, and the agent stood there like this. We walked in the door, and I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" And they're like, "Hey," and that was it. That was the only conversation from. They didn't even ask us like this was not one of our agents. It was an open house, and so but we walked in. They didn't ask us, "Hey, are you working with an agent? Are you an agent?" We just kind of started walking our way through the whole house. So like you don't want to be a wallflower here. Now, I'm not saying that you got to jump out and get all in their business. I'm not saying that you need to turn into like the used car salesman. Hey, what can I do to get you in a house today? Kind of thing. That's not what I'm saying either. But you have to be able to ready and to engage. Yeah. So what are you going to say? Like what do you say when most folks come in the front door?
So it's, how you doing today? Are you here for the open house? Obviously you are,
yeah,
right?
It's always good to ask a question you know the answer to right away, right?
Exactly. And then are you thinking about moving? Do you live in the neighborhood? I'm trying to build rapport with them, right? And interrogate them without sounding like I'm interrogating.
Right.
Get the information I need. I never jump out with, do you have an agent? And if they say no, okay, have a good time. I never do that because that's not building engagement. Because people are going to say they have an agent even if they don't.
I mean, we found that generally speaking, a lot of folks lie to you, a lot of potential buyers. And I understand why. A lot of times they just want to be left alone right now. They don't know you. They don't know if they trust you. Mm-hmm. If you just, and so I'm not saying not to ask that. We definitely need to say, mm-hmm. Are you working with another agent right now? But we also, but like Mark says, I don't normally lead with that. What I like to do is I like to ask a lot of questions. For me, questions helps guide the rest of our conversation. Have you been looking at a home for very long? Have you already got your pre-approval letter? How much are you looking to spend? Is this a neighborhood that you're really interested in? This is in the, the yada, yada, yada school district. Are you trying to stay inside this school district, or, we're really close to the interstate. Is your commute an issue that you're really thinking about?
I like to ask, what's the major feature you're looking for in your new home?
Yeah.
And if they say, well, the fenced in backyard got my attention. Oh, you must have pets or kids or both. All right. And
more people have pets than kids right now. Yeah.
But who doesn't want to talk about their kids or their pets? Mm-hmm. And now that I've opened the door for them to talk about something they're excited about, now they want to talk to me.
Yeah.
Right. It's hugely important that I'm sorry. The other thing I wanted to say is, you as an agent in your preparation have to find something about this house that you're passionate about, because when you talk about it, your eyes light up, you get excited. Like if it has an awesome man cave, or the finished basement is phenomenal, the pool area, the landscaping, whatever it is that you're excited about, when you describe it to them, you're going to be excited about it. And of course, I say, would you like a tour? Would you want to look at it by yourself? And they say, well, we feel like we can find our way. I say, make sure that you go downstairs. That theater room is everything. And of course, now they're going there.
Right.
Right. I'm kind of leading them to where I want them to be. Now, maybe I don't have as good an opinion of it as they do, but at least I've been passionate about something. I've engaged them, and I found out, do they want me to follow them around, or do they want to tour it by themselves? So if they want to tour it by themselves, I say, I'm right here if you have any questions. My name's Mark. I'll be right here. Just let me know. And then before they leave, I try to engage them again to say, hey, listen, is this the one? And they're like, yeah. If they're kind of iffy, then I say, well, that's when I tell them about the others that we have. And I say, well, these are the other homes that I did all the research. These are the other homes around this price point that we could go look at today if you don't like this one. But you have an agent, right? And they say, well, we don't.
I mean, not really. Yeah.
Have you signed anything? And they said, no, we hadn't signed anything. We kept just kind of talking with them. I said, okay, well, the way the rules are now, even for me to show you one property, we have to have this signed. And you know what? I can go right now. David and Lanya are going to stay right here, and they're going to make sure the open house goes smoothly. I'll go and show you this, and I'll come right back, and then we'll get it done. And that's really what works. What you're trying to do is gather the people and lock them into you. And if you can't, at least leave the door open for them to come back to you later. That's why I always tell them, here's my website, here's my app. You can use these tools, even if I'm not your agent. And usually, I'd say about 50-50 will use it, even if they have another agent. So,
well, but we've had a lot of folks over time that say, I just don't know right now, and I have somebody else that we're talking to, and then they end up coming to our website. They end up calling or asking us questions, and next thing you know, we are their agents, right? Mm-hmm. That's the whole idea. This is a chance to build relationships. Like that's really where the beauty is here. This is just on one hand, we know that these are people that are interested in buying and selling real estate. So it's a great place to be. At the same time, when you can go and build a relationship with someone that's interested in buying and selling, like that's really, really crucial. When do you give out business cards? For me, I like to give out business cards early on, but I know that a lot of folks like to give them out like right at the very end. So they've got it hot in their hands. When do you do business cards?
When they're signing in.
Okay, in the very beginning
when they're signing in.
Yeah.
And then I make sure, I said, you got my card. The QR code is on the back. It'll take you right to my website for doing any searching. The cool thing about it is nobody will bother you until you call me and say, I'm ready to start looking. Nobody's going to call you like they do on Realtor.com or Zillow or any of these other places, because it's only me that sees it. They like that. It just works.
Okay. Very good. Now, how about door knocking the neighbors? Because for us, door knocking the neighbors was always what we did the morning of, just to say, hey, we got an open house going on over here at 123 Smith Street. We didn't know if, like we just wanted to give the neighbors a chance to have a look at it this same morning. Now, you door knock the day before.
The day before, because it's in the late afternoon, most people are off work at 3 or 4 or 5 at the latest. Mm-hmm. That's about when I'm putting out the signs. So it's kind of a one trip kind of thing. The reason I don't do it very often on the day of the open house is I've had people say, it's Saturday, I'm trying to sleep in. What are you doing knocking on the door?
Well, I'm not doing it at 10 a.m.
I know these people who have to get up at 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning all week long. At 10 on Saturday, they're looking crazy when I come to the door. Now, the other thing about door knocking is I never do it by myself, because the agents who are working the open house are going to benefit from the open house. So everybody works the open house, and they work all facets of it. Now, I do all of the advertising. I do all of the marketing and the pushing, except for them advertising to their sphere. But the door knocking, putting out the signs, picking up the signs, and picking up any of the supplies, everybody works the whole thing. And then we split the leads evenly. So I feel like since everybody is benefiting from it, everybody should work it. And when it's 2 people coming to the door, the people, I don't feel like I'm a scary looking guy, but I like to have a female agent with me when I go to do door knocking. It's people just don't they're not as nervous
Mm.
when it's the two of us. When it's just me, you always see the curtain move and they don't come to the door.
Yeah.
So I'd have to leave the flyer. But it's when the two of us, they're usually nicer looking than I am. And the people will come to the door and I let them do most of the talking.
Okay.
And I carry the satchel that's got all the flyers and everything in it.
But you don't want to look like you're carrying a watchtower, though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That or a weapon. So, but it's and don't beat on the door like you're the police. Just because you see cars in the driveway, ring the doorbell, knock on the door, leave them a flyer. And if everything is on the flyer and it has since you're a neighbor, you get the preview time, the 1 hour special time just for you, then they'll see that as a nice invitation for them directly. But I prefer to do it the day before. I just haven't had as much success the day of.
Well, for us, it was always the day of, just more out of logistics and time saving kind of thing. I normally, we just didn't really have a lot of time. I would normally be like, if I could put the open house coming soon sign on Wednesday, I was doing really good normally. So, for us, it just became a 1 day sort of event.
Yeah.
We go there, get set up, put our signs out, bang on some doors, invite some neighbors, that kind of stuff. One other thing that I do want to talk about, and that is the power of being nice, the power of being pleasant. There is a lot of value in being a really, really friendly, pleasant person. Like I know that sounds kind of rudimentary, but it's so true. Like, I mean, when folks actually start coming into the open house, people like when you smile at them. When someone smiles at you, they smile back. That makes a very easy conversation lead in. You don't have to just kind of like jump all over them, but you do have to be really, really friendly. Don't be a wallflower. Be inquisitive. Be interested, not interesting. It's not about you, right? And so you want to be really engaging with them. It's all about them. And so asking a ton of questions, great eye contact, shaking folks' hands with a firm handshake, and thanking them for coming in. These things they're kind of the basics, but it's one of those things. Even though it's very, very basic, and I feel silly to have to say, look, smile and be nice to folks. It's seriously one of the best pieces of advice that I have, because so many folks just think that if I just open the door and stand back, that they're going to come talk to me. They aren't going to come talk to you. They're going to walk right by you unless you reach out and engage. I mean, well, do you see the same thing?
That's exactly right. You're interviewing for a job. And why would you not be nice and engaging with the people? Because who wants to hire you if you act like that before you get their business?
Yeah.
You're going to act like that while you're getting their business.
Okay.
So nobody wants to do that.
I get it.
Yeah. It's crazy how people will ignore you. They'll look up and immediately they will judge whether the person is going to buy or not. And they'll look back down at their phone and keep doing what they're doing. Like, that's more important than engaging the people. Engaging the people is why you are there. So do the job that you're there for and do the other things later or afterwards, or when there's nobody there.
Yeah.
It's like game on, it's showtime when the people show up. That's when you have to turn it on. And if you're turning it on and off while they're there, that's not good either.
Okay.
You're like, hi, how are you? And then you go back to frowning and doing some kind of work. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. So keep your phones away, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Bring some work for during downtime. But when somebody comes in, it's game on at that point. All right. So now you've held your event. Unfortunately, this is where the point where a lot of real estate folks will just be done. But honestly, this is where some of the magic happens now, right? So roughly 84% of follow-up actions are triggered after the event, after coming and actually visiting the open house, that kind of stuff. And so, do you have your database set up? Did everyone that came in, are they into your database? Whether you're using a piece of paper, whether you're using Open Home Pro, or you're using the KV Core app, but are they inside your database, right? Then for me, I one of the best things that I found as far as reaching out was just to call and thank them for coming. It was a very non-confrontational, very easy conversation to have, because who doesn't appreciate being thanked? Hey, this is Alan. I met you yesterday or last week at the open house. I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate that you stopped by and spent a little bit of time. I know you're crazy busy, so I just want to tell you thanks. And then I wanted to follow up and see, are you still interested in buying? Did you find another home? Are you working? Are you working with someone? Like can I set you up on some automatic searches? I jump into personally back into question mode, right? I want to ask, I want to gather a lot of information, and in the process I'm going to get a lot of information back, and they're probably going to start asking me questions as well. Can I help you some more? Did you want to, do you need a list of open houses for next weekend? I can get you a list of what other open houses are coming up, those kind of things. But the follow up is really where it comes down to. The average cold lead, just on average, a cold lead, meaning someone who doesn't have a relationship with you. And so we're talking, the vast majority of people who come to open houses have no relationship with you. They need 6 different touches from you before they're ready to engage. The average real estate agent normally reaches out once. And so cold lead needs 6 touches. We as an industry reach out one time, and then we're like, oh, well, these people weren't interested. I don't want to bug them. They're too busy. They're not really buying that. We talk ourselves into so much of this. But see, when you actually do a really good job with follow-up, you'll find that, okay, I set you up on some additional property searches. Like I love being able to call and thank them and then say, what are you looking for? Can I set you up on a property search? What school district, all these different kind of things. But then that's going to facilitate me reaching out. Hey, have you already talked to a lender? Because if you want to submit an offer on a property, I want that not only are you ready to submit that offer, but like, can you afford it? Understanding the difference between price and payment. Our buyers are buying on payment. They're not buying on price. And so you may be pre-approved for $400,000, but you only want a monthly mortgage that's $350,000. So having, like being able to offer those other professional services and referrals out, those kind of things are really, really important. And then calling again. If you call someone that visits one of your open house and they don't answer, what do you do then? Call back, right? This is not, well, I tried calling them one time and they didn't answer, so I just threw them in the trash because obviously they're not interested. But there's a lot of folks that in our industry that kind of treat that, well, I tried calling them, they didn't answer. How many people call you that you don't answer, right? I mean, like there's a lot. So like, stay with it, stay diligent. If they don't call, can you send them a text message? Absolutely. Like, hey, I just tried calling you. Sorry that you had, things were busy, but I just wanted to share yada, yada, yada with you, those kind of things. So again, remember, they need 6 touches from you before they're ready to utilize you for that. So there is a lot that you can do in the follow-up part of the open houses. How about for you? I'm just gonna.
So we do something that's, I think it's kind of unique. I want to make sure that that I have the right information for the people.
Mm-hmm.
So when they leave the sign-up desk, I either text them or call them while they're in the house.
Oh, nice. Make sure they have your number.
Make sure I have the right number, right? And a lot of times they were like, "Who's this calling me?" And I'm like, you know what? I have trouble with my handwriting. I wanted to make sure I read your number correctly so that I could be able to reach out to you. So we want to make sure we have the right number before they go. And then we ask them to correct it. You know what? Call me from your phone. That way I'll have your number. The other thing I do is within 2 hours of the open house, I text them the thank you for attending. The next day I call them and say, hey, I'm just following up. I hope you got my text. Thanking you for coming to the open house. I just wanted to call you and say thank you for coming. And even if they have an agent, I say, I know you told me you have an agent, so I'm not really allowed to continue to talk to you since you have an agent. You've signed a contract with them. If anything ever changes, you have my contact information. You have access to my search tools, any of that stuff. And if they don't have an agent, I say, I'm here, I'm available, whatever you need. We can move forward. We can meet again if we need to, but that way I verify they have the right information. And a lot of times they're very impressed that I've called them while they're at the open house or
Yeah.
texted them while they're at the open house. But I want to verify I have the right information. What the thing about using the tablet versus using the written form, I've kind of moved away from the written form unless the people prefer that. And I'll tell you why. People versus you can't read their handwriting,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so much easier for someone to write the incorrect information than it is for them to type the incorrect information. I found that nobody types their phone number or their email wrong because they're used to filling it in on
Well,
forms to get stuff.
sometimes the handwriting's terrible too.
And the handwriting's terrible. And you only have to miss one digit or one letter for it not to go through. But most people who are trying to give you fake information, they can do it easily when they're writing, but not as easily when they're typing. So, and it goes directly into my KV core, so I don't have that saves me a step.
Now, I personally have never had anyone that I met at an open house that was unpleasant when I reached back out to them.
Me either.
Understand that for me, once I met you at an open house, you're not a cold lead anymore. I mean, at this point, I've just never had anyone that just like, how dare you call me kind of thing. Or like at this point, we've already built some level of rapport, and it's not a hostile environment. It's not a difficult conversation to have, those kind of things. One thing that I do want to kind of touch on real briefly, and that is, and you brought it up, make sure you have buyer brokerage agreements with you. Because yes, you can show that house because it's to the benefit of the seller. But if they want to go see another property, you have to make sure that you are ready to have that conversation about buyer brokerage agreements. So, look, if they don't have a warm enough feeling to sign a buyer brokerage agreement for 6 months or 3 months or whatever it may be, maybe I'm going to let them only for this one particular property. Maybe it's only going to last 1 week. Maybe it's only going to last 1 day. Those kind of things. Because the whole idea is I want to stay compliant. I want to stay within the rules. Yep. But the other thing is I want to show them that I'm staying in the rules. And so I'm gonna show that I do things the right way all the time. Even when other folks aren't looking, I'm still going to make sure I'm doing things the right way. I also want to explain what the whole purpose behind that is. And so one thing that I am going to kind of encourage you is to make sure that you are very comfortable with your buyer's presentation. You're very comfortable explaining buyer brokerage agreements. The 2025 GAR form changes are fixing to come out here next week. They'll come out on January 1st for everybody to start using. But like being able to explain, this is who I represent. These are all the services I provide. These are the fees that I charge. But we can, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of different ways that we can have this funded, that this can be paid for besides necessarily just out of your pocket. Now, either way, you're going to be on the hook for it, but there's a lot of ways that we can do that. You have to be comfortable having that conversation. And so, role playing these kind of things, being ready for that. Have you had any kind of challenges with folks when you do it the right way? I mean, I have a problem when I see folks like, yes, sign this for 6 months and I'll show you a house.
Right.
Don't do that.
That doesn't make anybody comfortable, and it makes them concerned. Like, think about this: they're buying the most expensive thing they'll ever buy in their life, and you're giving them a short flip answer about why they need to do this. Just sign here so we can move forward. It has that used car salesman sleaziness feel.
Yeah.
Right. The people want to know that they can get out of anything that they sign. I say, look, if at any time that you decide that you don't want to work with me, all you have to do is send me an email that says, I'd like to terminate our buyer brokerage agreement effective immediately, and we are good. And I'm fine with that because I always want you to be comfortable. So when they have that get out of jail free card, I guess you could call it, and you've spent the time to explain it to them, they're more willing to do business with you because so many people don't take the time. So many people don't explain things on major purchases. I mean, how many times do you go to a car lot to buy a car, and they tell you as little as they possibly can, and then they have you sign a ton of stuff, and they're like, "Oh no, that's just how it is." You don't want people feeling like that about you. You want to build trust with them, and that's what it takes. It takes a little bit of time. It takes engaging. It takes your preparation, because they've been to open houses where the people refused to go show them another house. They've been to open houses where people didn't talk to them. They've been to open houses where the people didn't care about anything except sign here and then go look around the house. We're busy doing something else. No one wants to do business with people like that. Be the one that they want to do business with.
Yeah.
And these are the things that'll make that happen.
Very good. All right.